Let's go Rick Minner, Nate, and Jeff Gluck.
Jimmy, Rick Minner racing today.
Another Nate.
My question's about double file restarts with
right over here, Jeff.
Sorry.
Over here.
Oh, way over.
Way over here. Way over here. Double file restarts now during the regular part of the race. Do you run them all with sort of give and take philosophy, or you just run them all like a green-white checker? How might that change during the chase, your restart philosophy?
Yeah, there's a couple aspects to the to the double file restarts. First part of it is you spend the majority of the race worrying about long runs, and to have a car that's fast on a long run means it's going to be very uncomfortable on the short run. And when you start 2x2, you need a comfortable car to make stuff happen and to not lose spots. So you're left with the question: do I sacrifice the short run, the long run for consistency on the short run and track position? And so you fight that battle all race long, and then you get to the end of the race, and we seem to have a lot of cautions towards the end, and your entire strategy changes. And it's really tough to get a car to respond well for the short run and to be good on the long run. And we fight that week in and week out. So it has changed the way we work on the track. I think it's made it very exciting for the fans, but it's changed the game for us in the cars and on pit road.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Let's go Nate, Jeff Gluck, and Jake. Go ahead.
Nate Hubbard with the Bristol paper. Jeff was in here just a minute ago saying he'd be just fine with winning a Cup championship without winning a race. How would you feel if you lost Jeff or anybody else lost your championship to a guy who didn't even win all year?
Man, if you score the most points, you score the most points. I mean, I think it's easy to take shots at someone, if that did happen, and a lot of comments would come out. But at the end of the day, I mean, the rules are there, and he would have won the championship the way the rules allow it. So I think for the guy who does do that, you don't care. I mean, you want it. It's whatever it takes to win the championship, and we all have that mentality. But it wouldn't stop some cheap shots flying around from people. But when you're sitting there staring at that trophy and the big check they give you, you don't care what people say.
Jeff, Jake, go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Jimmy, last week in the PGA Championship, Dustin Johnson had a lead, and he basically shanked his drive, choked, on the verge of winning his first major. But, we see that sometimes in other sports. We don't really see that in NASCAR, like a guy that's, maybe close to a win or a big win or his first win. It always seems like they're cruising around. They're talking about the win on the last lap already. Nobody ever spins out in turn 3 and just totally chokes. Why is that? You're a golfer. What's the difference there? Why do we not see people just totally choke, I guess, in NASCAR?
I don't know. I was watching the truck race, and I saw where Harvick had a commanding lead in 07 or something, 04, I can't remember the year, but it was in a black 6 truck. And with 2 to go, with a huge lead, blew the right front and pounded the wall off of 4. And it made me think, actually, of that golf tournament and one of the few comparisons of from our sport to losing a major like that. I don't know why it doesn't happen more often, but I can tell you if I have any nice, comfortable lead, I feel like it's bad karma to even say anything before you're in a position that you could coast to that start-finish line and still win. And I think it's in the majority of the drivers' minds. I just don't know why it doesn't happen more often.
When you're in turn 3 or you're coming on the last lap, I'm sure the emotions are different than it would be. You're on the verge of winning it. Is it just? I mean, I'm not going to say it's easier to do one lap than to stand on a golf tee and not shank it because it's different skills. But I mean, I guess I'm wondering how that compares. I mean, because you've been in these golf tournaments. Not that you're a pro golfer, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for me, golf is one of the toughest things I've ever done. So, especially if you have a nice, comfortable lead, bringing it around a half second off the pace and running a conservative lap and making sure that you don't make a mistake. It's not easy, but it's not that difficult when you do it every single day. And I think it shows how difficult golf is. Even for a putt or a chip, it doesn't have to be a drive that you shank. I mean, I can't figure that game out, man. I spray them all over the place. So there is a lot. I think laying off of driving a lap in a car is a lot easier than laying off your swing in golf, because the timing and where the club is at impact is so important. that it just creates problems for those guys. Yeah, I did. Slid through the pits, in my first 600. Thanks for reminding me of that. That would be an example of it. Granted, we still had a fuel tank to run on the, finish up the race. It was our last stop and all, but yeah, I dropped the ball on that one, or shanked that one. Good job.
Final question right here. Go ahead.
Jay Pennell with front stretch and all left turns. We saw in the spring race here you and Kurt Busch go at it pretty much the entire race, and at the end you obviously got the win, and he said he'd rather get beat by any other driver but you. You guys have had your run-ins throughout the year since then. Coming back to this racetrack, under the lights Saturday night, the position you guys are in the points where it doesn't really matter, you guys are going for the wins. If he's in your rearview mirror, do you have to kind of think twice about that? Is that in the back of your mind, or are you just kind of going out there and doing your own deal?
Yeah, coming into the race, I haven't thought about any one driver. The end of a race, you look in your mirror and you form an opinion of who's behind you and how they race. I think that's why I was so shocked at New Hampshire to get the bump and run from him, because we had raced for 9 years and I hadn't seen the bump and run from him, and was shocked to see it take place. So with that in mind, Bristol, I know the bump and run would be coming from the two. I know it would come from a lot of other drivers as well, so it's not just singling him out. But it's short track racing. The rules kind of changed a little bit on these tracks. Although we're in a decent place in the points, I don't feel like I can throw caution to the wind here tonight or this weekend. I need a good top 5 finish, get some points. Obviously, a win would be the way to go, but I don't want any issues in Richmond. That is my number one goal. I want to get through these next couple races clean and try to go to Richmond locked in and not have that race determine our fate in the chase or not.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Appreciate it, and good luck this weekend.